Well, hey everybody. How we doing today? I just come along because I want to talk about some of my favorite stories of cannabis healing. I really do. Uh, so I'm gonna. I tried to do this today on a chat channel. Yep, on a health channel. And they had the voice chat open, and mm, I don't know. It just kind of went the way that it usually does. Seems like there's gatekeepers. So um, there wasn't really much to talk about. and so I just, there's so much good stuff to say. I just want to do an upbeat video about the healing benefits of cannabis because I've had a lot of experience with this, with people. So we'll talk about a few of them. So in Michigan, when medical marijuana became legalized, there were compassion clubs forming, and there was a lot of education going on. And I learned how to do an RSO extraction, Rick Simpson oil extraction. And I knew a couple of farmers, and uh, we work out an arrangement, and I'd get the trimmings and the scrog bud and the broadleaf, and I'd make oil, and I'd get to keep some of it. And I watched these fellas get younger before my eyes in a matter of months, consuming average of a gram a day. Seriously, I've watched them get younger before my eyes. So this really inspired me. And at that time, oh, I was a real rookie at making the oil. I was because I, I didn't. I'd work it to the point where there's a lot of chlorophyll in it, so it's quite green. But it's a good deep extraction, and then the extraction process is, I see mostly taught today is just a 3 minute, basically just a THC strip. Um, but at any rate, uh, was really green oil, so uh, it worked really nice. It really did. And as time went on, I have a very upgraded, refined process, and I work the material for days, over a week, in freezing conditions, and then have a 90 to 120-day filtering process. We get all that chlorophyll out of there, and it makes a very nice oil. So, anyways, really was just very inspiring for me. Uh, so let's see. Let's talk about Linda. Uh, she come into my shop, and she had skin cancer on, I believe it was on her finger, definitely on her hand, but I think it was on one of her fingers. And she was asking about RSO, Rick Simpson oil. And she wanted to know, was it legal or not legal? And well, at that time in Michigan, well, it was pretty dicey stuff. Uh, really was, with regards to clarity in the law. So, anyways, I had it. As far as I was concerned, it was legal. That's the way I read it. And so she got herself a syringe of RSO, and she was off on her way. Well, I'm going to say time passed. I can't rightly recall how much time, but I want to say it seems like I saw her sometime in the summertime, and seems like when she came back, it was fall. So 3, 4 months, something like that. Anyways, she comes walking in the shop. She says, "Ethan, I don't want any RSO. My cancer's gone. I'm going to a concert. I want a joint." Oh yeah, such a beautiful thing. Just so many great stories, and I just can't talk about it enough. But don't really get a chance to talk about it. And let's see, Kevin. My eyes are just tired. Uh, Kevin, he uh, he was coming around the shop when um, I had learned calcified plaque removal with the cannabis formulation. And Kevin started using it. And he had a dental appointment sometime later. And he comes in the shop one day and he said, "I was just at the dentist." And they commented how little plaque there was on my teeth. And I said, "Well, and did you tell the dentist why?" And he said, "Oh, no, no, no." Right? I mean, fear. Fear to tell the dentist. Oh, my goodness. What a world we live in. Anyways, uh, I'd see Kevin quite often after that. And he's always doing this, licking the inside of his teeth and saying, "Smooth." Yeah, I mean, he was just, he was so impressed. Uh, there's, that reminds me of a lady. I don't know if I wrote, I don't, I can't remember her name, but she comes in the shop one day. She says, "I thought my teeth were falling apart, but it was just chunks of calcified plaque coming off." So when she's chewing, these chunks of calcified plaque are coming off, and they're hard. And she said she thought her teeth were coming apart, but it was just the plaque coming off. So uh, again, another awesome story. And um, let's see, what else do we got here? Oh, there was a fella who had asthma, and he had one of them inhalers, and he carried that around with him all the time. And he was on medication. I can't remember what it's called. It starts with an A. And apparently, when you got asthma and the doctor's giving you pills, you've got your baseline or your whatever, and then if that's not working for you, well, then you get this one. If that's not working for you, you get this one, and eventually you get to a point where if this ain't working for you, you ain't gonna be breathing. And that's what he was on. He was on that top one, right? and yet he did enjoy an occasional toke or a vape, and I think it was me who really introduced him to vaping and vaping with my oil, a full extraction, pure and clean. And and he ended up having some oil where he's doing it fairly regular. And he comes to me one day, excuse me, he says, Ethan, I just went 3 days without using my inhaler or taking any of my prescription pills because I didn't feel the need and I simply forgot all about it. Asthma. You didn't know vaping cannabis could be good for your lungs, did you? Smoking it's an expectorant. And when you smoke, you do get a certain amount of vapor. Any of you have ever experienced resin loading up on the end of your joint, that'll tell you. And now that was seemed to be a lot more common in the old days. Oh, the joints would just load up with resin. I mean, they would be dripping. We'd tear the ends off the joint before they were halfway done because they were just soaking your finger with resin. You don't get that out of the marijuana today, and they tell you how much more potent it is. Yeah, but today you got people with allergic reactions to marijuana, and that's because of the way that it's grown, artificially, chemically, and yeah, it's not the same. It's just not the same. So, anyways, so this fella with asthma has the opposite experience. Excuse me for just a second here. The way I remember it is a friend of his stopped by and had picked up some butane hash, butane extraction. And it wasn't a clean extraction. But nobody knew this. Nobody knew it. I mean, those two didn't know it. How's that? And but his friend, being a friend, he says, "Here, you take the first hit." Well, this fella's lungs locked up. He couldn't take no air. And he got rushed to the hospital. Dang near killed him. So it's really important that you know your source. But the fact is, a good cannabis extraction vaporized is good for asthma. It's good for an expectorant, help clear out your lungs. It's also vaporizing cannabis for medicinal. My, my my recommendations are like this. That's hot. So when you inhale using your cheeks and hold it in your mouth for a couple of seconds. That lets it cool off. What else is it doing? Oh, it's just rolling all around in that oral cavity, isn't it? Yeah, you betcha. How about that? Now you've cooled it down. And now you're ready to take a nice deep inhale. nice and slow and steady, all the way down to the bottom of the lungs. Now, what's that doing? That's putting that oil all the way down the oral cavity, all the way down your throat, all the way out into your lungs, down into the deepest pits of your lungs. If you got some decent wind, right? Now it's time to exhale. What are you going to do? You're going to exhale through your nose. That's going to put that vapor through your sinuses, out your nasal cavity. So with that one hit, you have put oil vapor, oil in a vapor form, all over your oral cavity, all down your throat, all throughout your lungs, up through your noses, up through your sinuses, and out your nose. So that's very healthy. It is. Whether you have asthma or you don't have asthma, it's just a very healthy thing to do. So, what else we got here to talk about? Oh, this is a good one. Excuse me. This talking's working up some phlegm for me. So, well, I had a situation where I had we'll call it a zit on my derriere, in a place that when you sit down, it's hard not to sit on it. And this thing did not want to heal. And it was kind of deep and knotty and it just painful to sit on it. And of course, it was uncomfortable for me to talk about it. It was for a long time. And, but I started getting over it, running that shop. I started feeling comfortable and open up to people that I'm getting to know. And the more I talked about it, the easier it got. It wasn't such a big deal. And so one day, this group of 4 come in, 3 ladies and a man. And introductions are made. And the man is either a pharmacist or works in the pharmacy. I think he was a pharmacist, but he definitely worked in a pharmacy. And so, we're talking this and that and blah, blah, blah. And I said, and I'm saying, this about cannabis and that about cannabis and this about cannabis. And I said, and if you have a zit on your derriere that won't heal, you just break it open and you put the RSO on there and it will heal. It has a deep draw quality. So it will draw that infection out and it will heal from the inside. And the pharmacist pipes right up. He says, I got one. Oh, that spoke volumes to me. Here's a guy who's got access to the pharmacy. And he's got one. It won't heal. So that was a good one. It's hard to forget that one. And let's see what else we got here. Oh, well, there's several ways to vape, and one of the ways to vape is with a glass wand, and you use a little handheld propane torch, and you heat that glass wand up, get it red hot, and you'll just touch the oil and inhale. And so, anyways, the other, the end of the rod you're holding, it doesn't get hot at all. But, it gets set down on a table and maybe it gets turned a different way, or maybe somebody's not paying attention. And occasionally somebody will get a burn. And it's quite often a second-degree burn. and had one happen right in front of my eyes. And it was a lady, and it was her index finger, and she had this big old blister, and oh, I don't know, half-inch long. And she said, "What do I do?" I said, "All right." I said, "That skin on top basically has no feeling right now, so bite a hole in it and drain it out, and just bite a hole big enough that we can get the syringe in there. No needle on the syringe. It's like an oral syringe." Um, Anyways, she complied. And so I took a syringe, pumped it full of oil, put a compression bandage on it. That squirted a fair amount of that oil out, but that's good to have it all around that burned area. And it wasn't long. It was just a matter of days. And she comes in, look, 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 look at my finger. Oh, it was beautiful because that skin had reattached and she wasn't in pain. And so I've experienced this a fair amount myself. Uh, and the thing about cannabis, an RSO or a solution that has not been yet made, cooked down to the oil. I have a small sample here. This is liquid. You can see. Pretty sure you can see that. It's just liquid. So if you got a first degree burn or you got a sunburn, trying to put oil on that's not going to work out very good. It's just not, because it's sticky and you got a pretty good burn. But this, you just put your fingers in there, just put it on there gently. If it's sunburn or first degree burn. And my experience is near instant pain relief. Never more than a half an hour, usually more like 10 minutes of pain is greatly reduced. And before you know it, you're just not feeling any pain from it. And the burns heal up much better, much faster. So cannabis is really good for that. And it's also a fantastic sunscreen. And just like this. And I proved that. And there's pictures on the homepage of my website, oralhealthwithcannabis.com. Down towards the bottom on the homepage, there's some pictures, and that's me. And I went out and exposed myself to the sun, and I protected some of my lily white skin and exposed the rest. And it's obvious. Sunscreen. So and that's really good too, because it's not gonna come off when you go in the water, because the alcohol is going to evaporate right off and the oil just stays right on you. And it doesn't have to be sticky. It does not have to be sticky. If what you have created is sticky, you just add more alcohol to it till it's not sticky. And in my opinion, it's better to work that way. It's better to create it so that when you put it on and that alcohol evaporates and it feels a little bit sticky, add some alcohol, not too much. Use your own judgment. And the next time you do it, is it sticky? It's still a little sticky. All right, add a little bit more alcohol in there. To me, that's a much better way to get to your perfect uh, concentration where you're getting maximum without a feeling of stickiness. Now, if you want more protection uh, and you put it on and you get that stickiness, you can use something like uh, baking powder. Let's see, what is this? This is what I would use. Oh, cornstarch. Yeah, not baking powder. Uh, Cornstarch works really, really well. Um, and so, especially if it's, area you're covering with clothes, but even if not, it'll wipe off. Um, but it'll take away that stickiness. Uh, so that's what I can tell you. I can tell you about that. What else? Well, hmm, Mr. E. Mr. E. He's the one who says, I talked with my dentist and we'll put your claims to the test. So this guy that I didn't hardly know talked with a dentist I've never met, don't know, gave him a couple bottles of the tincture, the mouth rinse in a little dropper bottles. Um, and off he went. Now, I believe my instructions were don't change your habits and swish for 2 minutes after brushing your teeth. So I figure he's going to be doing this twice a day. And after 30, well, uh, before he started, he went to the dentist and he chewed plaque disclosing tablets, right? So, he would have brushed and and then chewed the tablet. And that red dye sticks on the plaque. And then the dentist took pictures. Excuse me. Hmm. So then he walked away from a traditional tooth cleaning and went on about his business. And he used the mouth rinse. And 30 days later, he's back for another evaluation. And the amount of plaque that is gone is just amazing. It is. Come to find out, he only brushes his teeth once a day. So he was only using the mouth rinse once a day and got that amazing result. Now, excuse me. At that time, the the dentist says, I can't say anything good about this right now because the pocket depths are deeper. So when they take that little needle and they stick it down between your gum and your tooth, they're checking to see how much space there is with separation between your gum and your tooth. Ones and twos are nice and healthy. Threes, not so bad. Fours, five, sixes, that's like not good stuff. So she was getting some deeper readings. Now, this is a feel thing. It is. And that can affect it. But she's a professional. So I'm going to say it was apples to apples. And I said, well, you've got plaque releasing below the gum line, and there can be gum tissue rejuvenation there that hasn't attached to the tooth yet. And so another 30 days, back for another evaluation. That's when that dentist wanted to do clinical trials. That dentist was so impressed. And we're getting a dentist in touch with University of Michigan where they can do the clinical trial and that. Oh, but the authorities decided, let's go get Ethan. And the dentist's been in hiding ever since. No medical provider is going to come out and say anything. No, none of them. But I'm keeping this upbeat. I am. That's what I want to do. So I'm just going to keep on telling the stories here because there's more. There's more. My goodness, there's more. Mm, mm. Yes, it's good for ringworm. There's a fellow he had the ringworm on his arm, and I gave him some oil. Son of a gun, if it didn't clear up the ringworm. It's amazing. It's just absolutely amazing. The medicinal qualities of a good cannabis extract. I got a couple more on here. Of course, there was at the time that I was sitting there in my chair with my dental pick, which was part of my daily routine. I couldn't get through a day without getting a dental pick out and taking plaque off of my teeth. And it's easy to understand why now. I had a plaque producing factory in my mouth with my toxic teeth, with my dead teeth. Every dead tooth is a toxic tooth. Every root canal tooth is a toxic tooth. And if you got a tooth with a crown and the nerve dies, and now you've got a super producer because you got that extra big cavity. You got the 2 to 6 miles of tubules where bacteria can fit 5 by side. So, anyways, I'm just using my dental pick and I'm not feeling plaque. Oh, it's like, oh, what's going on here? And I get up and I go over and I look in the mirror. I got the flashlight and I'm look. I don't have plaque on my teeth. And then, a short time later, all my exposed roots, shorter. They just kept coming down until they got to the rot line. And then they wouldn't go no further. And so this is what got me to diagnose my toxic tooth, the really bad one. And then I had several other dead teeth that they were toxic too. They had to come out. But it saved my life. It literally got me off of my deathbed. And I've talked about that in other videos. And I'm just trying to keep this upbeat. The fact is, I just keep getting healthier and healthier. And I said time and time again, over 27 chronic conditions either gone or on their way out. And one day I'm going to talk about it. I think we're up over 30. Really, I can document. And it just seems like I'm getting younger and healthier. I got taller. I put on a good 40 pounds of muscle. And not all hollow and gaunt in here like I was a few years ago. So it's amazing. Absolutely amazing. What other good stories have we got here? This well, a lot of pain relief. You see, I had a policy when I was running my shop that if you got a driver and you got your medical marijuana card and you got your ID, that you can get medicated on the spot. So people could come in, they'd vape. Didn't do the smoking, but the vaping, that was fine. Edible, that was fine. And this is on the house. So many people come in with so much pain and walk out pain free or near pain free for all kind of things, from toothaches to headaches to body aches. Oh, Crohn's. I don't have this written down. Uh, there's a fella come in a shop and he was miserable with Crohn's disease. And I made cannabis infused chocolates with my oil. And he said that it was near instant relief for him. And he'd make a piece of chocolate last quite a while too. He wasn't eating, not like he was gobbling down the whole thing, which many people did. So he'd bite off a corner, and his Crohn's pain would just either be gone or be very tolerable. I can't say I truly remember. All I know is it was a huge relief for him. Huge relief for him. And the interesting thing is, other forms of edibles didn't seem to have the same effect. So I've given that a lot of thought. And I'm pretty well convinced that because it's in the chocolate, that chocolate's making its way down through the intestinal tracts. And rather than getting absorbed on the way down or being in something like a brownie that's just passing right through. Just think about that chocolate, all melted, right? So that's why I think that the cannabis infused chocolate with a good RSO extraction is so effective for this fella for his Crohn's. Oh my goodness. So many people would walk out of there feeling so much better. And so, all this stuff's anecdotal until I come along and actually document with pictures with an independent dentist that I don't know, calcified plaque removal and gum tissue rejuvenation. So here we are 7 years later, and who's going to tell you about it? What cannabis attorney? News reporter? Cannabis magazine? Nobody. Except me, Ethan Caniseed. So if you watch my recent videos, you know about dealing with the porcupines. I've done this several times. And we're talking dogs loaded up. One time, the dog, side of the face, just full inside the mouth, all kinds inside the mouth. It's like they get kissed a couple of times, and hitting the leg, and so I had three big dogs, and Two of them got hit good. And I think I ended up putting 9 grams in each one of them. And that gets them to the point where they're going to pass out. You pull out some needles and they're going to wake up. And they're going to pass back out again. You get a couple more needles, it's going to wake them back up. It's a long, arduous process, but if you can't get to a vet, you can't afford a vet, you don't have much of an alternative other than to put that animal down or take care of it. And with cannabis, you can take care of it. You can. And so the getting the ones out of the mouth, they ended up being near the last because the more needles that came out, the better he's going to feel, he or she, and to a degree. And they should know that you're helping them. If it's a puppy, a young dog, a year old, it may not have a clue that you're helping it. A dog's been around you 3, 4, 5 years. You got plenty of times you helped that animal out, right? So each animal going to be a little bit different in the way they're going to react afterwards. So, but you can get it done. You can absolutely get it done. So, another thing. Have you ever woke up and you got sleep in your eyes and you rub your eye and it's hard sleep and you actually end up scratching your eye? I've done that. One time I did it so bad I ended up going in to see a doctor, getting some eye drops for it because it was just so painful. It was painful to have it closed, super painful to have it open. It just wouldn't stop watering, all because of that sleep in the eye, and and that was from my toxic teeth, that infection coming out. Um, so at any rate, uh, in recent years, I've had a couple occasions that I get a light scratch in my eye, and it's quite irritating. And it's kind of scratch. You could put the Visine in there, but you're not going to feel much relief, at least not anytime soon. And what I found is absolutely amazing, absolutely blew me away, is you take something like this solution that I showed you earlier, and put your fingers in it, close your eye, rub it all around on your eyelid, and let that alcohol evaporate off, open up your eye, and pain relief to the eyeball. Now, you don't want to put that alcohol on your eyeball. That's a fact. And for a fact, THC is very irritating to the eye. And if you know anybody that's experienced trimming cannabis, and they'll tell you, they rub their eye, it burns. THC, for some reason, just makes your eyeball burn. And but at any rate, you can take that solution, that alcohol solution, and just close your eye, your eyelid, all around, and you're not going to affect your eye at all. Can you get it in your eye? Yeah, if you're sloppy, if you're not paying attention, you don't have your eye closed tight, you you got it dripping off your finger. You push on there too hard. Yeah, something like that, right? Then you'll be owie. Which you're trying to correct an alley, right? So it's very effective for that. I can testify to that. I am testifying to that. It's fact. So it'll make you look younger because it makes you younger. That was one of the first things I experienced. That was one of the first things I talked about here. So, at any rate, I think those are some pretty good stories, and they're all true, and they're accurate. I'm not embellishing. No need to embellish those stories. I know there's uh, more healing stories. Uh, but I just can't pull them up right now. Well, I have been hesitant to do a video where I talk about all the conditions that I have recovered from. In part because it's kind of personal. But hey, at this point, what do I care? All these videos, I didn't want to do any of this stuff. Well, here I am. So we're just going to keep on doing it. All right. If you want to follow me on Telegram, the links are in the description. Uh, if you want to support me, uh, links are in the description. You want to visit the website, address is in the description. All right, everybody. Be healthy. Much love. See you next time.